the Christian school. Because if you stop and think about it here, look around at the churches that have a Christian school, and it's the major ministry of that church. If you look at a church that has a Christian school, if you look at how many man-hours of the full-time employees of that church are spent on the Christian school, it's probably 80% of the man-hours. I know, for example, that when I went to First Baptist Church of Hammond, there were over 500 employees of the schools, and I think about 50 employees of the church. And so that right there shows that there were 10 times as many workers, 10 times the budget, 10 times the money, 10 times the facilities, 10 times the energy going toward the Christian school. And people today will try to tell you that a Christian school is commanded by God in the Bible, Christian school. Well, let me ask you this. If it's such a big ministry that it takes up 90% of the resources, 90% of the facility, 90% of the money, and 90% of the workforce, why is it not mentioned in the Bible?
Right.
Why didn't they say here, hey, we're too busy running this Christian school. Can you help these widows? We're too busy teaching science and history and English and math to little kids while their moms are out working and doing everything else and have them dropped off here at a spiritual daycare center. Why don't we see it in the Bible? And you say, well, times change. Well, for some people, times change. And some of us are old-fashioned Bible-believing Christians who believe that there's nothing new under the sun, and that it's my job as a man to go out and work and toil and pay the bills, and that my wife's job is to marry, bear children, and guide the house, and to raise the children at home. And that it's both my job and my wife's job to teach our children knowledge and wisdom and understanding, both biblical and also just practical. You know, there's more to life, obviously, than just knowing biblical truths. You need to know basic math. You're going to need to know English. You're going to need to know science. You're going to need to know history. You're going to need to have basic knowledge and learning. Why is that not mentioned in Acts chapter 6? In a discussion about the division of labor in the local church. Is that not what this chapter is about? It's about dividing the labor. What should the pastor be doing? What should the deacons be doing? What is the work of the church? And no mention of Christian school. No mention of operating a daycare center. No mention of any of it. Because the focus in the New Testament church here was preaching the gospel. And preaching the Bible. And prayer. And spiritual things. Not raising someone else's kids for them in a money. And people say, well, you know, the school is just a part of the local church. Well, then why isn't it mentioned here? In a discussion about the day-to-day business. You go, well, the school's part of the local church. Well, then why do you have to pay money to go there? Do you have to pay money to go to church? No, church is free. Buy the truth and sell it not. And you say, well, that's why we have a Christian school. But a Christian school is not biblical. Doesn't that matter anymore? That we would run the church according to God's Word? You're going to tell me that this gigantic monstrosity, financially, manpower-wise, is biblical when it's never mentioned? The word school is never mentioned. Except the school of Tyrannus, who was an unsaved man who rejected God's Word.